Well, hello there. Welcome to On the Beat, the podcast that uncovers full frontal male nudity in cinema. My name is Laura, and I'm joined by my sensei, Ryan.
Hello.
Wow.
Hi.
We are here to talk about the 2019 martial arts black comedy film, The Art of Self-Defense, directed by Riley Stearns, starring Jesse Eisenberg, Alessandro Nivola, and Imogen Poots. Yeah.
That's right. I am your sensei. How much do you think you've learned from me?
Not nearly enough.
That was a good answer.
Yeah.
That's a really good answer, because I was basically on my way to being told that I'm a nothing entity.
Oh, by whom?
By my wife.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you were about to say, you were going to say something. Anyway,
I did a roll switcheroo on you.
you did, and now I'm a little confused.
Well,
So
you're going to have to work within yourself.
I shall.
Look within,
Mm-hmm.
as Casey does in this movie.
Call for help.
Okay, so the synopsis that I pulled from Letterboxd is, Casey is attacked at random on the street and enlists in a local dojo led by a charismatic and mysterious sensei in an effort to learn how to defend himself. What he uncovers is a sinister world of fraternity, violence, and hypermasculinity, and a woman fighting for her place in it.
So I'm going to get this out the way first. Do you smell that?
What is it?
It's the stench of something imitating something else. That's what it is. This film, I'm getting out of the way, is that this film reminds me a lot of Fight Club.
Okay.
It does a lot of Fight Club things in it. And yeah, it kind of removed a lot of the enjoyment for me by making those pretty distinct sort of comparisons that I wasn't kind of really a massive fan of.
Is someone not allowed to write a film about masculinity in a time 20 years after Fight Club came out?
Well,
Especially during what it was written during a really definitive part of the Me Too movement and trying to discover what masculinity and what maleness is in a world where maleness and masculinity is vilified.
I mean, if that's the story you're writing, that's okay. But I mean, maybe hide the fact that you've seen Fight Club and then you start copying scenes and stuff that's from that movie.
What scenes are copied then?
There's that bit where Imogen Poots beats the shit out of that person because he thinks they're better. And that scene's taken straight out of Fight Club.
Well, he earned his black belt when she clearly deserved it more, but she didn't get her black belt because she is a woman.
And she was jealous, so she beat the fuck out of him.
She needed to prove that she was stronger and better, which is a different reason than what happened in Fight Club. He wanted to destroy something beautiful. She wanted to prove her worth.
I mean, the minute it goes to night class, it's like, okay, this is a little bit like Fight Club. And then also he's like, oh, I'm going to change my personality and do certain things. It felt exactly the same. Like, to me, it felt the same. It felt very similar. And I think anyone who's out there saying, no, that's not the case. I'm like, come on. Stop lying to yourself.
Riley Stearns said that Fight Club did not enter his mind at all while writing this script.
Okay,
and I will give you his reasons for writing this film.
That's very convenient, though, isn't it? Of course, if you get a first-person quote from the guy who wrote it and directed it, he's not going to say, like, Fight Club entered my mind maybe once. You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, before I dive into his origins of this story, because he wrote this story.
He did, yeah.
I would like you to tell us about this director, who is almost our same age.
Yeah. Riley Stearns, American filmmaker. He's directed 3 feature films. He did Faults in 2014, The Art of Self-Defense in 2019, and Duel in 2022. That's not duel as in like the truck or the, fighting to the duel. That's duel as in two. Because I know how much I mumble. His short film Cut Up from 2013. It was his first film to screen at Sundance. Stearns is a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and he won the bronze medal at the 2022 ADCC Open in the 70 kilograms Masters Pro division.
Wow.
Yes. He was married to Mary Elizabeth Winstead for a spell. She was in a couple of his shorts in his first feature film. But yeah, they met on a cruise as well. I thought that was a lovely addition in the Wikipedia, which was weird. So they met specifically on a cruise. But they're divorced now. But yeah, he did shorts 2011, Magnificat, Cask in 2012, Cub obviously I mentioned in 2013, and I felt like I've been following him as a filmmaker since the early days of the other social medias. So this kind of came on my radar. But yes, we are all of similar ages. You know, some people do, while others just don't.
Wow. Okay.
There you go.
Cool. You took away so much of what I wanted to say, so I'm going to just add on. You went beyond your typical role, and but
the info is very slim. So basically, anything I would have said would have been, here's his films, and he does a bit of Brazilian jiu-jitsu. That's basically what it would have been.
This film was conceived and produced at a tumultuous time, I would say, in their relationship, because Mary Elizabeth Winstead was meant to play the part of Anna in this film.
Right.
And that was announced in 2016. And they got divorced in 2017.
Right.
So obviously she wasn't going to be in the motion picture. Apparently it was a very amicable breakup. And they're still the best of friends.
I mean, that's the way it should be. But who knows? Who knows what happened there? Who knows what she did?
Well, we know that she married Ewan McGregor.
And that's perfectly good. So that's fine. Yeah.
I also like the story about the Carnival cruise. She is older than Riley Stearns. She met him on a Carnival cruise when she was 18 and he was 16 years old. And she almost didn't go because she was offered a supporting role in A Cinderella Story, that Hilary Duff movie. But she decided to go on the cruise with her friend anyway because she'd been planning it for so long.
I mean, nothing beats a good cruise.
Carnival cruises are actual... maybe I shouldn't talk crap about Carnival. They're crap.
Oh, it's
in
Carnival.
My opinion.
Oh, I thought it was like a carnival, like it was on a carnival on the sea.
That's actually worse.
Oh, okay.
That would actually be worse.
I mean,
a cruise
would it
with
be like pirates and shit? Be that kind of
clowns,
swashbuckly. Yeah, you want a pirate clown?
No.
Pirate clowns would be awesome.
No.
Okay, no. So Carnival is just the company, and they do shit cruises, is what you said.
It's just my opinion as a person without children.
Well, we're a podcast without sponsors, so, obviously, I don't know what Carnival's capable of doing.
I would rather be given money by Royal Caribbean or Virgin.
Right. I think you're really starting to show your golden feathers.
The thing is, Carnival is for
your
families.
Middle class.
I'm sure that it's great for people who have families, but for someone like me...
She was also 18 as well. It's probably all she could afford.
I'm just saying from my own personal experience. Well, no, wasn't paying for it. She went with her friend and her friend's grandmother on the cruise. And Riley Stearns with his friend's family as well.
Wow, look at this. So they were a match made in heaven, going on shitty cruises with your family.
Yeah, with your friend's family. No, it's a cruise line for families. That's all. Okay. There's a lot of kids around. Yeah, and that's not my jam.
Yeah, let's move on from the cruise.
Stearns originally wanted someone in their 40s to play Casey because he thought it would be funny that a man that age was having trouble kind of figuring out who he was and his masculinity and was scared all the time. And
Riley, you don't know, but I mean, he probably knows now. He was interviewed back then.
I'm not done.
That never changes.
Jesse Eisenberg's name came up a couple of times, but Stearns didn't think he was the right age, but then realized that a lot of men that age have that issue where they don't feel like a, quote, man or comfortable in their own skin, because that is human existence.
Okay, well, I jumped the gun.
I know.
Yeah, I jumped the gun a little bit. Yeah, no, because you're a mess up until the day you die.
Yeah, adulthood means nothing.
It means nothing.
You
I'll say
learn,
it
you
like
grow, you
it
forget.
gets harder and harder. And the only thing is that as you get older, your brain starts to like help you by like making you like forget stuff. It's
Yeah.
great. I love it. And like slowing you down and making you basically you start as you get older, you start to lose your morality.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So like that thing you wouldn't have said in your 20s, you're kind of braver to say in your 40s and 50s.
Well, I think that comment really lends itself to the script itself because everyone except for Anna, the only female character. Everyone is black and white. Everyone says exactly what they're thinking without any consequences, I guess.
I refer to the style of writing in this movie as like very matter-of-factly.
Yes.
Like it's very straightforward. And it's kind of like a weird tone thing. Because I don't think the rest of his films are written like that. At least Faults definitely isn't written like that.
Correct.
So yeah, it kind of like the way the dialogue is, it kind of makes it feel a little dystopian.
Yeah, no, I agree. He said that he wanted to make his film, like this one in particular, as though it was like an inch off the ground, where it's slightly heightened but grounded. So there's like consider it like an inch of space between your feet and the ground. Like that weird liminal space in between where you can kind of like grasp what's going on, but it's slightly off.
It's like Float in Final Fantasy VIII.
Sure.
Yeah, or in the Final Fantasy games in general. You know that. That was in 6 and stuff as well.
Oh, yes.
You use float to avoid
any ground
earthquakes.
Trouble, yeah.
Yeah, like earth attacks.
So Riley Stearns is implementing the Final Fantasy float in order to create this interesting space in which we live in this film.
We're big nerds. Yeah, massive nerds.
Well, that's also because he didn't want the movie to be kind of pigeonholed into an era or a time, right? So you're not having someone with like a particular iPhone so you can date the movie.
Yeah, no, I would get it. Yeah, the iPhone. Like, how long has the iPhone been in existence? Like, more than 20 years or something at this point?
Oh,
at least. Yeah, so that's a whole 20-year span that you can't figure. You know, it's
not the 80s. And they change so often so that you really could pinpoint exactly the year that a film is just by looking at someone's cell phone.
I guess so, yeah. Because that's the thing. If it's an iPhone, you're just kind of like, they've just duped a bunch of consumers into getting the same phone over and over and over again. Because it's never changed the design, like ever. So it's always been the same thing.
Well, there goes our sponsorship from Apple. Great.
I doubt that would ever happen. I doubt that'll ever happen.
Well, the computer monitors are CRT. You know, you don't see a cell phone anywhere. Everything's just kind of an interesting... There's a lot of wood grain in the dojo. Which
doesn't really necessarily pinpoint a time frame either. Because our house is full of wood.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
But I think that's an interesting way of doing things, so you can't pinpoint. And, you know, everything's quite generic. You know, the dog food he buys for the dog says dog food.
Yeah.
And the karate dojo is called karate. The dog doesn't even have a name.
No, he doesn't. That's why it's... That's why you don't feel so much for the dog.
I do feel for that dog.
That dog is adorable.
Dog's
is
like the tiniest little dachshund.
Yeah, little dachshund.
What a little sweetheart. So anyway, I think that I might have skipped over the fact that they obviously cast Jesse Eisenberg in this film because he seemed to really kind of grasp the concept once they kind of realized what they were going for and how his sensibilities could really lean into that character.
Right.
And they shot the film over 25 days in Kentucky.
Okay.
Yeah. Imogen Poots and Jesse Eisenberg trained together before production started, and they had quite a bit of time to do so. But Alessandro apparently only had a couple of days to practice with their stunt coordinator before they shot the film, just due to scheduling issues. But he has to do the most work.
I mean,
he has to do the most karate.
He's been in some action movies. He knows what's up.
Yeah, apparently he's incredibly fit and he keeps in shape, and so he really grasped that very well.
Yeah, no, that's yeah. He was in Face Off. He's the weird brother.
Yeah. He's one of those
Yeah.
guys that really, really blends into his roles, you know?
It's like you say, he really blends into the background.
No, he doesn't. He's always excellent in everything he's in, but I think that's because he's so good that he's just, you kind of forget who he is. He's just character.
Okay, all right. I guess
Jesse Eisenberg doesn't do that. Do you know what I'm saying? Jesse Eisenberg is Jesse Eisenberg.
He's just playing Jesse Eisenberg. It's like whenever Seth Rogen's in a movie, it's Seth Rogen's just playing Seth Rogen.
Most of the time. There's times where maybe it's slightly different.
Like when with Seth Rogen?
Zack and Miri made a porno.
That was because everything was was bad in that movie.
Oh.
That's not a good...
I'm not saying he was bad.
You mean like he in a serious role? Like Seth Rogen in a serious role? You don't recognize that Seth Rogen once you see Seth Rogen? He's unmistakable.
Not as obvious as Jesse Eisenberg.
Getting Rogened, as it was, because that's what I called this. I get Eisenberged.
I'm not mad about getting Eisenberg. I like him.
Yeah, he's good. Like, he doesn't, like, between this movie and, like, playing Mark Zuckerberg, like, he's basically nobody, like, he is Eisenberg. Like, that's it. He doesn't, there's not, let's just say his range is his Eisenbergness, really.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah.
It works for this movie. Okay, so now I'm going to tell you about why Riley Stearns made this movie. He said that Casey is a caricature of himself. He found himself thinking one day, what would happen if I were attacked? Could I protect myself or my loved ones? He also talked about his insecurities about fitting in with other men. So he started looking into martial arts and jujitsu. He used to watch MMA, and he just started doing jujitsu for several years. And then, as you said already, he became a black belt and won medals in Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So he wanted to make a film that incorporated that world, but then needed to figure out how to do it. So then that's how it became this.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, that's fine. When did he start jiu-jitsu? Did it say?
It was I think it was 6 years before he made the film.
Okay.
Something like that.
Well, no, I think my time is over for learning a martial art.
Oh, I don't think so.
Well, no, I was looking at the dates and stuff, and like that's at least 6 years ago at this point. And then so that was 12 years ago when he started. So,
You can do it anytime. I didn't do jujitsu because I worried about the wrestling portion, being on the floor. Ooh. And getting into leg locks and stuff, that made me nervous. Like the grappling portion of jiu-jitsu made me nervous.
You want to be grabbed and touched. You just want to punch and
I
did
things. I did Muay Thai.
Right.
So
okay.
that is less. You don't really grapple like that.
No, you just kick things until they're dead. Basically, is what Muay Thai is.
It is great. It's really fun to punch stuff. But yeah, I'd always wondered what it was like to get punched in the face, and now I know. So,
yeah.
It's not good for people with contact lenses. Like, if you punch someone in the face with contact lenses, they're going to lose their contact. And then they're blind, so then you have an advantage.
Yeah, and then you just kick them till they die, basically. Muay Thai.
Or until they're incapacitated, and then you run away. Which is what I would do.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll never forget when someone didn't believe that I knew how to throw a punch. And so I did a nice right hook into someone's arm, and it left a bruise so big on their arm. It was there for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. And he was so embarrassed to admit that I genuinely hurt him. He's like, don't pull the punch. Do it.
Maybe this guy needs to go and get himself into a karate gym and learn how to be a man.
Emasculated by a woman.
Yeah, exactly. So you can just throw down, get his belt on, and just start fucking things up.
I see now that her being a woman will prevent her from ever becoming a man. That was one of my favorite lines from this movie. Yeah,
it's an odd It's an odd thing. It's an odd movie. Like it does have its moments. I think there is a collection of interesting things, and it did make me chuckle a couple of times. But I think the minute I start using like the words chuckle and like couple of times and all the rest of that,
Well, you know this isn't one of those movies. You know that it's a dry, dark comedy. You're not going to be bowled over.
well, I think what I mean is like it wasn't really getting me on a few levels.
It didn't get you off.
It's fine just as a product, but I didn't find it super interesting. And I think my review will kind of match that.
I texted you about this because we watched the movie separately. I'd seen this movie before,
Yeah.
several years ago, and
Well, you text me saying that this seems to be funnier than I remember.
yeah,
Which probably tainted my feelings on it. No, because it plays the comedy pretty hard, I think. I think it definitely plays its comedy. Like, the world is pretty comedic because of how dry and matter-of-fact it is. I think it really does play into its comedy a fair amount, and obviously there's horrific elements. That's what makes it a black comedy. But I think just maybe the overall, like, to me, just the overall thing. I mean, I just kept on reminding me of Fight Club. And I don't know why he has to defend himself if it didn't seem to be like an apparent fact. Why would there be a quote from him saying, well, Fight Club never entered my mind? He's obviously being asked the question because it reminds folk of fucking Fight Club.
it was in a Reddit AMA, and someone said something. Oh, I noticed there was some elements that reminded me of Fight Club, and
Right.
you know, or did you base the character of the sensei off of like a Tyler Durden? And he was, I honestly didn't. That didn't come into my mind when I wrote it, which makes sense considering the origins of why he wrote it in the first place, why Fight Club wouldn't come into it. And he's also very adamant that he only writes a first draft of a story, and that's the draft. That's the story. It doesn't go through 1,000 rewrites. What he wrote is what they shot. Maybe albeit a different,
I don't know.
maybe some,
I don't know.
lines of dialogue.
I don't know. I'm not. It's going to be the last time I bring it up. But yeah, I don't know. It's there's something smelly, something stinky.
That doesn't bother me if something
Something
reminds
stinks.
you of Fight Club.
Yeah, but it's
this
like it
isn't
almost
even my-
hangs its hooks on it just a little
I don't think
too
it
much.
does.
And if it's doing it unconsciously, that's crazy because that kind of means to me that like he found this framework of a story and he's like unconscious of it. But it's obvious that he was conscious of it. It's strange, or it's like the story framework was like can only work this one way, which is unfortunately, makes it feel very similar to something else. I don't know, but like again, it's the last time I'm going to bring it up. That's all, because again, the film does do some things that are interesting. Like I said, the dialogue's interesting. They refer to France as weak and they surrender easy. I think that's a fantastic line of dialogue.
I too, like Casey in this film, am afraid of men and am learning French.
Yes.
I found a lot of similarities there.
Like I like the
between us.
opening to the movie where it's obviously like he knows French enough to be, be insulted by the French speakers as like a masturbating loner, which I mean they weren't wrong, but like it's like there is some interesting stuff in it. I just wasn't like super interested in the story and
save
stuff.
that for your review. All right.
Yeah, no,
what
that's fine.
I do love the fact that I watched this years ago. I gave it a 1 star on Letterboxd.
Right.
I
Well,
hated it. I don't remember exactly why, but I hated it. And just watching it again, I don't know. There's something about time and place, setting, what I ate that day, like the company I'm with, how hydrated am I? Like if I'm going to like a movie or not. It's interesting to me that I hated it. And now I watch it and I go, huh. It's just interesting that you can watch something at a different time and place and really enjoy it.
Yeah, no, because I watched it at work. Or I watched like the majority of it at work, and I was I was interested to see how it ended. Because on Letterboxd it was kind of like the ending was almost sort of spoiled for me a little bit. And like obviously everything in the writing, the secular nature of the writing and like the lore and the history of this dojo and stuff like that started to obviously come into focus, which I thought was quite interesting. It's like they didn't learn that technique. He just shot somebody in the head and then put his finger in there.
Amazing.
Like I thought that was pretty funny. Like I thought that was very good.
Yeah, I agree.
But then there's other things like, he snaps Henry's arm. Henry's one of the other frequenters of the dojo. He's a blue belt. And he like showed up to the night class because you're not meant to show up to the night class without some sign of like, an invitation basically.
You need a black stripe on your belt.
Yes. And you have to be invited. But yeah, he ends up going there and then obviously predictably, because Sensei's asking all the right questions, Sensei snaps Henry's arm in half. And that was pretty interesting. What happened to Henry though? Because this is a question I had. When Jesse Eisenberg, when Casey is like, he's like going around in the halls and he sees that room and there's the guy with the arm cast on.
Yeah.
Is that Henry?
Yeah.
But what's up with him?
What do you mean?
Well, he's just standing there. So what is he doing?
I don't remember that in particular. I do remember seeing him cast it up. I don't know. He's just...
Was he in a class? Or was he doing something? He's like in the foreground, so you only see the cast and like part of his body. And then Casey sees it and then has to turn away because he doesn't like what he's seeing. Like, I don't understand what happened there. That's just something that came to my mind anyway. But yes, it was in my notes. But yes, either way.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, that's cool.
I'm confused. I was confused.
So as they did have stunt coordinators and they had stunt people to help them, obviously, with all of the karate and the jiu-jitsu they were doing,
yep.
Imogen Poots did most of her own stunts. So they tried it with their stunt person, and it was fine, but then Imogen was like, it's not like she was pushing to do them herself, but when she did do them, it looked better. So she ended up doing most of the ones on camera, except for just one particular one during like the fight with Thomas, where she had to do kind of like a leg lock hold.
No, she was because like a complicated, slithery
Yeah.
movement that she had to make.
Right.
Yeah.
So that apparently was the only
slithery,
the only move or stunt that she wasn't able to do in the film.
Okay, well, I mean that makes sense. It does make sense. Yeah, no, because I think. The fight, whatever you want to say about the fighting, but the stuff that you do see that's meant to be like proper fighting, yes, that stuff's actually pretty decent. Because seeing Jesse Eisenberg flail around in slow motion is not exactly. I like that sequence, but it's not exactly my idea of a good time.
Now, there's a couple things I want to talk about before, like the porn on the computer.
The male magazine.
And the man magazine.
Yeah, the man magazine.
I loved that man magazine. It was just guns and tits. Yeah.
Awesome. And then obviously when he starts to act like a hard man, like he's full of masculine energy, it's just when he's in the office at work, just on his screen, it's just a JPEG of tits.
Yeah. And he starts learning German because it's a hard language, not the feminine French.
Yep.
Oh, that's so good. He has to listen to hard metal. What was the music he listened to when he asked him? It was adult contemporary. What even is that?
Yeah, I think it was adult contemporary, and I don't know what that means either.
No, me either.
Because he's like,
Bruno Mars?
It should be metal.
Is Bruno Mars adult
toughest music there is? Is that Bruno Mars?
I don't know.
Like contemporary.
He's like
Googling
pop.
It. Well, it's like I just label that stuff as like pish. If it's like contemporary, it's probably just pop. Yeah.
Oh my god, is adult contemporary yacht rock? Oh no. I'm not sure.
That's full of masculine energy. Yacht rock? It's mostly listened by men because it repulses women. Yacht rock.
Carole King, Cat Stevens, James Taylor, Bread, Toto.
Okay.
Oh no, I love Toto. Air Supply, Fleetwood Mac.
Mm,
Oh, this is adult contemporary.
all slightly, that's what they would refer to as weak music.
Oh God.
Yeah, weakness.
I don't feel weak. I feel like a real man.
Yeah, just stick on some King Diamond or some some Nile or something.
Oh my gosh, now it's like Boys to Men,
Yeah.
Savage Garden,
Yeah.
Enrique Iglesias, Phil Collins. Oh God.
That's a
That's
sacrifice I'm willing to make
I love
to
Phil.
become the masculine man I really should be at this age.
Phil Collins is great. All right, well, you know what? If that's adult contemporary, then sign me up. Sign me the fuck up. Let's talk about this penis scene.
Yeah.
It's so weird. Okay. And I've got problems with it. So this is
We do have problems with it.
57 minutes and 3 seconds into this motion picture.
Almost pretty much halfway.
It's a little,
Almost,
yeah,
yeah.
it's like,
Just
what,
a
an hour
tiny amount.
45?
Hour 45, so it's just a tiny amount over, like 5 minutes over or something. Before it's like halfway. So it's like 142 or something.
Oh, it's 104 minutes.
Yeah, an hour 42 or something.
Not bad.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, they do the cool down after. So
This
Imogen
is first
puts, yes.
night class, right?
Yeah, this is where the Fight Club starts to get a little bit too apparent for me. So anyway, this is the night class, and we've had all that, and then Poots is fighting with the person who denied her black belt. I think purely based on the fact that he's a man.
Yes.
So she fights him in a duel, not a duel, a duel, as in a fighting duel. And fucking beats the fuck out of him. And the Fight Clubby thing about it is when she starts just like punching his face until there's nothing recognizable there. Like that's the thing where I'm just like, that's kind of Fight Club. And if you ever do that, it's Fight Club. And like the reasoning behind it felt very similar. Anyway, they're fighting and Sensei comes out and he's just like, all right, I think we've had enough. I think we've had enough for tonight.
Yes.
And he's like, he initiates what they refer to as the cool down.
Yeah. Oh, this could have been.
It's basically
absolutely perfect.
It's the warm down. That's what it is. So they're like massaging themselves and doing whatever.
That's a cool down.
Is that what you call that? A cool down?
Yeah.
Or is it a cool down or a warm? It's a warm up and a cool down.
Correct. You're warming your body up and then you're bringing the temp back down. Your heart rate.
A warm down.
A rub down is maybe.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's rub down. Yeah, I fucked up. Anyway, yeah. So they initiate the cool down.
So you have Casey standing there. They were all standing in a line.
He's in the background and he's not 100% sure, obviously, what the cool down is.
Yeah. So there are no instructions. It's trial by fire, and the other members of the night class, I'm called nightclub, the night class.
You don't say.
They start taking off their, what's it called? Is it called a gi or is that your belt?
I think it's the gi. Yeah, it's the gi. Maybe that's the gi. Oh, I used to know this. I play Street Fighter all the time. Right, hold on. We're going to find out.
Okay, you can find out. So they start to undress, and there's 3 main guys that you can see undressing, and everyone gets to the part where they have underwear on. 2 of the guys keep their underwear on that are at least in the frame from what I remember. And the one guy out of the whole class takes off his underwear. Only one. And it's very strange to me because it would have been absolutely perfect and shocking, of course, to the character of Casey if all of these men got fully nude and started massaging each other.
So we'll put a pin in it there because you are right. We are right. It is the gi.
Oh, thank you.
Is the overall because the belt's called the obi.
Ah.
And then there's obviously other parts where they separate like from the jacket to the pants and stuff like that. So it's all completely different. But anyway, yes, it is the gi because it's the karate gi.
Right.
Is what it is. So they just refer to it as the gi. But yes, there you go. Continue onwards.
Wonderful. So it's just the fact that you have one man out of the whole night class that gets fully naked to do the cool down whilst all the other men
Yeah.
are just wearing their underwear.
Which is odd.
Yeah, it is
Because
odd.
the thing that would make it better, because that's the thing, like, otherwise, if they're, here's the thing, it has to be all of one or all of the other. Now, if it was all of the other, we wouldn't be talking about it at all. But it's like, if they're all just standing there in their underwear, that's not as weird, is it? As what happens here. Because really, for it to be like the best it could be, is like all of them have to get naked.
Yes.
And it's like they've all been told by the sensei, it's like, no, you can't be wearing any clothes during the cool down, which is something I think these folk would believe. So they just get naked for obviously no apparent reason whatsoever. But yeah, just the one guy in the middle of frame. Because I'm waiting for because that's the thing. It only had to be those two that are in frame that just have to do it. But yeah, he takes off his pants. It's all in the wide shots. So you see it really clearly. And obviously then the guy behind him doesn't take his pants off.
Right.
It doesn't make any fucking sense. Because I was waiting for it to happen.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, this is going to be amazing. And you're just like, you're more perplexed by it. It doesn't make any sense to me.
I fully agree. I couldn't find anything in my research as to why, like there was I haven't found any dialogue about that, which is maybe why I should have sent a message to the director myself, which I didn't do.
It's weird because like you could get away with, when you go to the wide shot, they're just all wearing like fleshy colored cover-ups or something. So it's like you wouldn't have to see the dicks and stuff from a distance. Like I don't know how expensive that would have been to do. But it's just the folk in that frame are the ones that have to do it. So you assume everyone's doing it.
Right.
Like that's it.
Yeah, in the wide you definitely could have covered it up just with a body position.
Yeah. Or get somebody else in the frame who's like, yeah, no, I'll take my dick out.
Yeah.
Like, do that. Like, instead of it just being this one guy, who then at that point I started...
seems like a weirdo.
Well, yeah, then I started coming up with lore for who this person is. He's just like, they just call him Slimy Tony or something.
Yeah,
and
Slimy
it's
Tony.
He does that every cooldown, and they're just like, oh. And like, they're like,
I've got to massage
well,
Tony
it's not
again.
that. Like, they're raising up, and it's like, the dick's gonna sit in like a weird way. It might even like touch your leg. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. So yeah, Sleazy Tony, and they're just like, oh God.
Yeah, you don't want to be his partner.
You do not, and the thing is they have a hierarchy there, so he's probably getting massaged by the same one.
Right.
Maybe. Well, no, because Imogen Poots, although they kind of treated him more like a woman. So he's like putting the women together. When he got the
well, because it was his first cool down.
Yeah, he didn't want him getting too involved in the men getting all naked and stuff like
Probably
that.
an odd number, because,
Potentially, yeah, because he just
then what are you
joined.
gonna do?
Yeah. Well, that probably meant that she wasn't getting a massage at all.
No, yeah, probably not ever.
Yeah.
Because she's a woman.
But yeah, that scene's fucking, like, it's odd. It's like if it was being done for comedy purposes, that's fine. And I mean, I kind of like to make the distinction between, like, obviously we have a very fine purpose as to why we look at a moment like this and then we're like, why is it not better and stuff? But like maybe to an audience, yeah, I don't know, maybe to like an audience who isn't interested in this sort of thing, like that was exactly what they were going for the comedic side of it.
I don't think it was for comedy's sake. I think it was more of an intimidation factor, because you have Eisenberg, who is more of the feminine character amongst the hyper-masculine. So when you show a penis in a situation like that, you're pushing your masculinity in someone's face, where someone like Casey's more trying to maybe find it or hide it in some ways. He's trying to discover that masculinity. So these men, the hyper masculine, are pushing it in his face, which is, I guess. And it's also a really good example of how you have these hyper masculine spaces, right? This karate dojo.
Yeah.
Which you're showing the hyper masculine, but it looks the opposite. Because you have these men being
does.
pushed together. A lot of them are face to face, really close together, like when they have not the graduation ceremony, but when they go up a level in their belt color. And they're just right up next to each other, and they're tying that belt, and they're just right in each other's faces.
It might be because Sensei's maybe a little gay.
I think everyone's a little gay. Pretty sure.
What, in the world?
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Don't
know how the
little bit
world's
or a
going
lot.
to take that. Yeah, I mean, I'd rather have a little bit than too much of it.
I'd rather have
a little bit.
A little bit than none at all.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. That's actually probably a better way of saying it, because I was about to distinguish what that would mean, like in a physical sense.
Because if you're going to put forth a persona of hyper straight, it just looks super gay anyway.
Yeah, that's very true.
Which is what happens to Sensei, who is putting forth this hyper masculine, hyper straight, where he puts forth many monologues in this movie.
Yeah, he does.
And one of the monologues, I think he says the word masculine maybe 4 times in a row.
He does, yeah.
So
he does. It's like he's trying to hide up for the fact that maybe he's not that masculine.
He seems like a character that was probably exactly like Casey in his youth, that was afraid and didn't understand his own masculinity, and it's like a shroud. It's fake.
Okay.
It's all false. His name's Leslie.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, yeah.
You know?
He humiliates him
a boy
at the
named
end.
Sue. So you get the shit beat out of you by, quote, hyper-masculine dudes.
Yeah.
And then you have to learn to defend yourself.
Yeah, the stick scene's still weird, though. Like, it's still odd. Doesn't make a lot of sense. Because, I don't know, is the guy who's getting fully naked, is he the one who's intimidating the most? Well, I guess he is.
He is the most comfortable with himself.
Because that's happened to me. Again, I've brought this up before, but this has happened to me at the YMCA, you know what I mean?
Well, those are the men that are the most comfortable.
Yeah.
And that are showing off. So you have the most comfortable masculine man who's completely naked, and then you have Casey who couldn't dare to take his shirt off.
That's very true, yeah.
So you have that dichotomy and that, that juxtaposition of opposites for these two characters, which we never even meet that character. He's just a guy.
He's just a guy. Yeah, I guess so. If we're explaining it, really extrapolating it, then yeah, I don't know, that kind of makes sense. But it's still odd though.
I know I really wish, man, I would have been sizzling with joy if the other two dudes were naked, just because it would have looked good. It would have just looked better.
It would have looked better.
But because
they were following all the same rules.
I know.
That's the thing, and
they're rule heavy. There's so many rules.
Yeah, again, very
Guns
Fight
are for
Clubby.
Wimps.
Yeah,
guns are for wimps.
Very Fight Clubby.
No snacks. Take your shoes off.
And if this is your first night at Fight Club, you have to fight.
Okay. Well,
that movie's so fucking good as well. It's so fucking good.
Well, is there anything else you want to add? I guess I meant to come back around to the tits on the computer and stuff, and how he punched his boss in the face. He's like,
well, he doesn't. He punches him in the neck. Plugs him in the neck. Yeah, it's really fucking dangerous.
I think we did mention earlier as well that the dog dies, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, he was
by a foot punch.
By a foot punch or a kick. No, it's a foot punch. No, it's a kick punch. No, it's a foot punch and a
hand kick.
Something
like that.
There you go. I almost fucked up.
It's a good thing you're the editor.
Yeah, I thought I wrote them down as well, because obviously that night we watched it, I stayed up drinking watching it. No, I don't think I wrote it down. It's just stuff that's been rattling around in my head for the last 4 days.
Well. Would you like to get into our ratings?
Yeah, I guess so.
Would you like to go first for your visibility and context?
Well, I think, you did a lot of explaining, so I'm kind of thinking about, this scene. Has to be straight down the middle. It's 2.5, because the thing is, it kind of squanders it. It's it does it, and you're like, wow, that's really good, but then you're just like, wait, what? Why is he the only one? And, we can really extrapolate it and think about it. But, like, in the general scheme of things, like, on a very kind of simple, basic thing, this is meant to be uncomfortable, or it's meant to be uncomfortably funny. Yeah, why not just ramp it up? Put the other guy will get his knob out and put it there, Or were they all so intimidated by this one guy who's just like, yeah, I'll do it naked because that's going to be fucking hilarious. That's what they hired me for. But yeah, it's just weird. I'm just over explaining it now, but yeah, it's just weird. It's a weird scene. I feel like I kind of squandered something that could have been a lot better.
So for visibility and context, I've been thinking about it all day, and I think I'm going to give it a 4, and I'm giving it a 4 on the benefit of the doubt here, because I'm hoping maybe there was something in terms of like censors, because censors are always going to be more willing to budge on violence, but not nudity.
This film came out in 2019, though. I don't think that would have been too much of a problem.
And it is weird because it's like, it premiered at South by. So that's not the type of place where it would be an issue. And just kind of, this isn't something that's going to open up in every Regal and AMC theaters. Do you know what I mean? It's a little bit more underground, a little bit more niche. So yeah, there's a part of me that thinks that it could have been all the wieners, and it probably should have been, because that would have been really striking.
Maybe there is a cut that has all the wieners. Maybe there is. Maybe there's different versions of it.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. Or like maybe that's the only take you could get or something. Like I don't really know.
I'm still going to give it a 4 just because I felt like I explained it really well earlier, and I'm just going to stick with that. I don't need to re-explain it.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. We don't need to do that.
Go ahead with your film ratings.
So this was a weird one, and I've kind of started this trend where if I know nothing about the movie, and I'm going in completely blind, which is 90% of the time of me going in to watch a movie. Usually I start at a 2.5, and it's either worse than I think, and it dips down from more than 2.5, or it improves as I'm watching it, and it can go up to obviously, the higher numbers up to 5. So for me, obviously starting at 2.5, this film didn't get any better than 3, but it's still better than average. There's some interesting stuff in this, and I just think, again, there's some parallels, there's some very suspicious imitation stuff going on in this. Yeah, there is some parts of it that I think are actually quite good, and the film doesn't look half bad either. I think it looks quite nice. I like that sort of feels very structural, that sort of filmmaking. I don't like to say it's Finchy, but it's a little Finchy, which means that, your frames are tight and everything looks really good, and it's, that sort of thing. It looks very polished. So yeah, I would say that, like, the film does look good, and it's, there's some decent things in it. But yeah, it just didn't get any better than a 3 for me.
I'm a little bit more, I'm on the positive side of it, but I still gave it a 3 for the film. I mean, that jumped up two whole stars from the first time I watched it, when I hated it. I don't know what kind of mood I was in. I just didn't like it at all.
Must be really pissed off. It's not like, and that's the thing, like 2.5 means it's average. It's just, it's better than average.
And honestly, on a third viewing, I could absolutely see this going higher. If I watched it with more people, I think that might help. I've only ever seen this by myself. That's always helpful, but I think there's a lot more in it that I'm grabbing onto now than I did when I saw it the first time. I enjoyed it. I thought it was funny. I thought it was really, really dark, which I really like. And I think that I just wish that there was more penises in it. Man, if there was a couple more dicks in this probably would have been at least a 4. At least.
Yeah, it would have been a bit.
Been like, holy crap! Do you remember that scene? Like, it would have been so memorable. And it's not like you want one particular thing to be like a standout. You want the whole movie to flow. You want the tone to be all.
Here's the thing. Most movies are 3s. which is fine. Most movies,
It's a good score.
almost 90% of all films ever made are like a 3.
I'll watch a 3 again and again and again. 3's got a rewatch value for me.
Because even the stuff that you think's like is fucking terrible, a 3 at least guarantees the fact that, like, even at 2.5, it guarantees the fact that a bunch of folk got together and they thought the story was good enough to actually make into something. So, that should always be commended, even if it's, Birdemic.
Oh, I love Birdemic.
Yeah, because Birdemic's perfect. It is exactly what you think it's meant to be. So, like, yeah, I don't know. For me, and that kind of, like, makes it, maybe I'm in a sunnier mood or something, because there are stuff out there that is, like, a 1. It's, like, painfully offensive.
Bridget Jones's Baby.
Yeah, stuff that's just like that was that was an ordeal that I wish I never went through. That's kind of like that fucking film we saw last night, Freaky Tales. Yeah,
it was just not cohesive and
painfully boring. I was like,
boring.
yeah. The only thing I would say, if anyone's not seen it, is Danger Zone. That is the shit right there.
They were amazing.
Yeah.
That was the best part. I would watch a movie just about them.
Yeah, I mean, they should have made that movie, but they didn't. But anyway.
Why have it in chapters? Like, there's no reason for it.
Stupid. Anyway, moving on. But yeah, I don't know. I think this film is fine. And that, you know what? That's fine.
I look forward to seeing Duel, which I haven't seen yet.
Duel. Yeah. Well, obviously, I can't say duel and duel. I can't say it because of my accent.
You're fine.
It's my fucking nationality speech impediment coming in, and it's just that's the end of it.
Well, thank you, Sensei, for joining in this discussion of the art of self-defense. And coming to you from the night class, I have been Laura.
Arigato.
Wow. Shut it down. Oh my God, no. That never happened in the movie.